Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
How do you get this thing to close? I don't know how to make it close. Ugh. From now on, I think just like classy show that they have maybe downtown. This is we're gonna run that in the corner all the time now because that's classy. So this is Billy Gunn Show. Come to you live every weeknight. Oh, hold on. What else I can do?
Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. It's 11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
All right, we're going back to this Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about those guns for an hour, and then we stop talking about them because that's all that guns deserve is 1 hour of talk per night. So here's how we do it. We're not like one of the daytime shows that doesn't value the conversation because we value the conversation. I'm going to drop the link right there. Bam. Bam. So now you can take advantage of that link by clicking on it. You can click on it in multiple ways. One with a mouse, one with a little thing on a pad on a laptop, one with a stylus if you have a phone. Lots of different ways. Oh, you're telling me I have to hit repeat every time? Windows is, in many ways, Windows isn't that good. Look at what happened right here. Bam! Somebody took advantage of it, and now we got a test.
I'm good at taking advantage of stuff, man. Don't ever throw it out there. You'd be screwed.
So thanks for clicking on the link there.
Yeah, I had a few minutes. I figured I'd jump in and I don't know, finish up some conversation from earlier or talk about something new, just whatever.
Yeah, right on. So I guess to wrap up our intro, which is pretty sloppy tonight, I've been chatting a lot, so I'm getting all loopy. But Clover's jumped in. I just grabbed some coffee, so we'll see. Sometimes the show lasts 5 minutes. Probably won't tonight. Sometimes it lasts longer. I think I'm going to go ahead and unplug that. And I don't know who this is. Let's see who this is. And anyway, let's see. Good afternoon.
Thanks for the link.
Right on. So have you been in before?
Nope, first time. I was just in the chat with you for the Guns and Geeks or the Weekend in Geek.
Right on. What were we using the same name over there?
Yep. Burt Reynolds.
Okay. Matt had, I forget how many people for a while there. We had quite a few. He can get more people in his because he's got a bunch of money. He's got money bags. So he pays for his duck. I use the snooty free duck, and that means I can only have 6 people in here. But anyway, right on. Thanks for jumping in. Since you're new, I guess I'm just going to try to make it consistent for the people that might not, or wrap it up for the people that might not be familiar with this show, because I'm sure it's pretty sloppy. Like say, I'm just a little loopy because I've been chatting for a long time. We started with, holy crap, I was live today, and then I took a break. I think I ate something, then eventually went on to Clover's show, went on to Matt's show, and then now this show. So I don't even want to think about how many hours I've been chatting now. Anyhow, this is the Daily Gun Show. We go live every weeknight. We go live for about an hour. That's what we aim for. We talk about guns. We do not talk about news of the day. I'm not interested in politics. There's plenty of other shows that talk about that stuff. Instead, we talk about guns and not necessarily what to buy or what you bought, but instead fun stuff like Second Amendment and history and just other things, including events and the culture and the evolution of what we got going on. So we tried to take this, I'm going to start calling it this, and let me know what you guys think. Gun Culture 5.0, because as we got all these new gun owners coming in, that's an opportunity for all the sophomores to become upperclassmen. And I want these people that have been around for a little while to take on a role of mentorship and coaching, right? Instead of just getting bored and walking away because all the attention is going to be focused on the new, whatever, bunch of new gun owners. Anyway, so thanks for jumping in. I'm going to shut up. I don't need to hog the show. This is just a conversation about guns. So got Clover jumping in from Texas. I will turn this off because it's super distracting. We got DJ jumping in. Thanks for jumping in from Nebraska. And then where are you from? Are you just go
Washington
by Bert?
State.
Okay, so just go by Bert.
Yeah, Bert's good.
Right
I'm from
on.
Washington.
Okay, and then I'm down here in Arizona. And this is a conversation. So I just turned off the screen share, but I can do this. That's what I was trying to get Clover to do earlier. This is the only thing I like about the duck. Otherwise, I'd be using GunTube, is that you can click on people's thing and highlight it. So anyway, we got some people out there, and you're more than welcome. As I was nagging everybody before, you can click on the link like these 3 did and be part of the show, or that's not always possible, and not, I understand that people might be some people might be sleeping at this time of night. Feel free to text or whatever, and we do use this feature. So I like this duck, so that we can bring the topics up. So we got different people in the show. Like Clover said, we were chatting earlier. More than happy to continue on chatting about that. I would not be doing my own projects justice if I didn't mention we do have a crowdfunding project going on right now. So crowd, right? A lot of people funding money. And the idea is to raise funds to go to the big gun show in Tulsa, based on Clover's bragging about it. And they just canceled the gun show today. So it would be, we are in the midst of replanning, I guess. It's still in the planning process, but reorganizing, I guess, a better word, part of it. And I'm distracted as I grab the link. So I'll just mention that we do have an Indiegogo campaign going right now. It's only got till probably all day tomorrow and half a day the day after. It still says 2 days on there. And we're about a little under halfway to the goal. And at this point, since the gun show's been canceled, which was the catalyst to get us going, and the destination, let's say the goal of the trip, since that's been removed, it took 2 things from us. We could technically go anywhere, I suppose. So we're not tethered to Tulsa, but more importantly, it's taken away the tether of the time restriction, I guess. I don't know if it's a tether, but the time restriction. So I don't need to rush to get to Tulsa. So the funds that are accumulating in the campaign right now are for, there's a couple of them that are literally donations, I guess. But most of those are for either the book that we're writing about, or we've written about the museums and our experiences at the museums, or some of the different patches that we've had over the years, or both. So once these perks are fulfilled or whatever, then this money will be used to get the van fixed up, and then we're going to figure out what to do with it. But We're going to, or I guess to the extent of the tour with it. But we'll run that, I guess, for a couple of days. But we don't need to monopolize this. I've definitely been talking about that a lot. I did throw the link out there, so feel free to check it out. Definitely encourage you to share. Something like this is funded to the point of $1,500, almost $1,600 with 40 people. So I don't know if there's any way to do the math on that to know what the average is, but a little bit does add up from a little bit from a lot of people does add up to accomplish things. And in this case, getting out and seeing some firearms museums and writing the book. But that happens from just 40 people. So you're sharing it, just like when we talk about, our projects or our videos or an individual video or a channel project or some other type of event we might be going to, or a project to make awareness of, or a political thing. A little bit of, or a lot of people just doing something as simple as sharing a link. You never know when you share a link and it creates another link that makes somebody aware of the project, and they go over and add another $2, and then that's enough to click some register on the platform that it exists on, and maybe it gets published on the main page just in time for somebody who wants to drop $100 on a gun campaign, or thinks it's a novel idea to do a trip. Who knows? So I really do appreciate the people that link to the campaign. And again, it just takes a few people. So I really it can really make a difference when just a couple of people make the decision to link on something or share something like that. All right, so I promised to shut up. I'm going to do it. I've got a good mix here. And again, I'll encourage the people that are out there watching to leave some comments to help us guide the discussion. Clover was first to jump in. If you want to take it, start the discussion in a direction. Otherwise, DJ's usually pretty good at it. Or Bert, feel free. There's no rules here other than don't feel polite or anything. Just jump right in, and with the lag and everything, I'm sure you're comfortable with Matt's chat. Just boarding house reads. Just jump in and be part of the conversation.
Yeah. So this whole ammo shortage is really, I don't know, kind of opened my eyes into how I've been building my collection. I tried to have the same calibers for all my guns, and then I can't find 9mm. So I just built a 10mm 1911, and I can still find ammo for it. So that's what I've been doing.
That's a dangerous thing. I hear a lot of people do that. They go, "Oh, I'm consolidating my calibers down. I'm going to go." A lot of people say they're going to do, 7.62 39, 5.56 223, maybe 308, 12 gauge, 9mm, 45, 22. They consolidate down on a lot of stuff, right? Hear that all the time. And I mean, when things happen now, unless you're stockpiled and you're sitting good, which you should be doing. People should be buying and stocking things up in off time. That's the one bad thing about doing that consolidation thing is, man, when the ammo shortage hits you like it has now, I have no problem. I could find something on the shelf somewhere for some firearm that I've got because I don't play that game. But I know quite a few people that are hurting, and they've consolidated down to like 5.56 and 9mm and 12 gauge, for example. And 12 gauge birdshot anyway is about all they can find.
Yeah. For instance, I actually chose a 30-06 over a 308 because I figure people won't be buying that in bulk.
You wouldn't think so, but I mean, it kind of depends on where you live and stuff like that. I shoot a lot of 30-30, and then of course hunting season opened this last weekend. Was rifle season here, so I seen 30-30. All this started, it got crazy, and I was seeing 30-30 pretty regular, and was able to pick up a couple boxes for some T&E work and some other things I had to do. And then I forgot I had a video I needed to make, something didn't feel like loading any. Wanted to just go get an off the shelf box here. I don't know, a month or so ago, and it's dried up. 30-30's dried up around here, and it's not because of panic buying or anything like that. It's a cumulative effect of there was panic buying, and then now we're in the middle of hunting season.
Yep.
And 30-06 is kind of the same way around here. That's one of them, old school calibers, and a lot of people around here use that for hunting. So where you might find it on the shelf during just your typical, rush, panic, buying phase, whatever. Um, yeah, not so much during hunting season, unfortunately.
When you asked or brought up this topic, I guess the way you phrased it made me think that we're all coming from different places. So I don't know how old you are, whatever, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah, absolutely.
what yours sounds like you're getting into guns, or you're recently acquiring guns or something, as opposed to grew up with a gun in your hand.
Not really. I just inventoried my guns. I got 20 guns, 6 handguns, and it was just easier for me to be buying one caliber. Like I had 45 long Colt and I had 9mm. That was basically what I had. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I just assumed. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I have heard of some people that do that, but I guess the people that I knew that did that, let's just say they're not going to run out of the caliber they went to. They went nuts. Everything they sold and the other calibers went to buying the one caliber. If they sold 10 rounds of caliber and they were consolidating, then they replaced it with 30 rounds. I mean, they didn't just replace, they added so that they definitely had enough.
True. Yeah, I mean that you got a bigger return too. I mean, if you're saying, let's say you're running 308 or something like that, and you decide you're going to consolidate now, I'm not going to worry about the 308. I'm going to go with 7.62 by 39, considerably cheaper than 308. By and large, same way if you're talking about 45 BCP versus the 9mm, or something like that, you get more bang for your buck. So hopefully the people that did consolidate down for the sake of caliber, hopefully they did what you're suggesting, and they did just roll that over into their stockpile, or whatever you want to call it, of ammunition.
So then let me go a different direction. If there's nothing you can do about Cirque's current situation, right? You got the past, you got the future, and you got right now, and you can prepare for the future, right? Based on maybe what you remember about the past or what you know about the past, and then right now you just kind of sit there and deal with the consequences, right? And like say, best you can do is kind of prepare. But what if we look backwards? Just as an exercise, I was gonna say the reason I guess I said that is because I assumed you are new gun. So if you're not, then that's awesome. And I don't know how old you are, so it just kind of depends on again where everybody.
I'm 30.
Back, right? Okay, and then DJ I think is about the same age as me ish. So I don't know if he's still in here, but how many of these shortages have we dealt with? Because I'm trying to think. I don't know if I've ever, I know I haven't ever written it down anywhere, but I don't know if even in a chat, I don't think I've ever been in a chat where we actually tried to sit down and think about how many shortages there's been that we've experienced, but I don't think I've even watched one. But I can, I know I can always think of a few that I've experienced, and I don't think I'm doubling up. Like I don't think I'm thinking of the beginning and the end of a shortage or something. I think I can remember distinct different shortages because I mainly can remember the other side of it. When you come out of your first shortage, you're buying everything you possibly can, right? You're like, I'm never letting that happen to me again, ever, ever. At least that's what happened to me. And then now you own a lot of ammo. Like before you didn't think about it. Now you have ammo. And then the next shortage happens. And I guess it's going to be different for everybody because for me, this happened way before the internet. The next shortage happens, and then you look around at gun shows and shops, and everybody's panicking, and you're like, well, I'm not panicking, but maybe next time ammo's cheap, I'm going to start buying it. And I'm also super cheap. So whenever I went to a gun show, pretty much my whole adult life, if I had to pay to get into a gun show, then I'm buying something at that gun show that's inexpensive, that's cheaper than what I would have to buy it in the olden days from a catalog or from a gun shop.
Right.
So that for me was either magazines for my semi-auto pistols or ammo, because I could always get ammo somewhere from like a half a box of ammo from some guy, or like I don't like this ammo anymore. Like, not necessarily like from a store that's cheaper than another store, but just somebody at a gun show is you're gonna find a weird cheap box of ammo somewhere. So I would always do that, and that lends to I don't even care sometimes what caliber it is. In fact, sometimes it's neat to buy something I don't own just to have that kind of weird bullet, or just in case I ever do buy that gun, right? Because if it's $3 for a $10 box of ammo, you're winning in the long run, right? Unless it costs you money to keep in your closet.
Mhm.
So anyway, with all that said, I've thought of, my evolution of where I got to Y2K, and I was like, I understand what I've lived with and what I've experienced up till now, and now Y2K's coming. It's time to put some ammo on a credit card and like really have ammo. And I've never ever dealt with anything like stressing out or anything, because you know what I'm saying. So uh, everybody who's just jumping into guns, they're starting on that ride. Like, how many times do you have to watch everybody have a shortage before
Yep.
you're never going to have a shortage? And then how can we get that to people? I like to just shake them by the collar. I keep saying that. Like, if we could just shake them by the collar, we'd be done, right? We'll just get them in a big line, shake them by the collar. They're done. They've been learned, and we never have to worry about this stuff again. Anyway, I'll shut up. What do you think? Can we figure out how many shortages there's been?
Yeah, I have no idea. The
I've been
worst
through
one I
two.
remember for me was the 22 long rifle drought, which, how many years did that last?
2 for us in the Midwest.
About to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that sucked.
That was, from what I understand, one factory burning down where they make powder, and then Europe having new laws that allowed them to own 22s. So immediate demand for 22s out of nowhere in Europe.
Yeah. Plus 2013.
Well, see, that's the thing. And that had to be part of it for sure. But 2013 was, we're going after your AR-15s, and I don't know how much, there had to be some whatever. Somebody bought 22 because of that. But you know what I mean? I think that was a lot more buy lowers.
Right. No, I think it was a factor. I ain't saying it was a
Factor.
big
Yeah,
factor.
definitely.
Yeah. 2013, I would agree. 2013 was more about get the semi-automatics. 2013 era, I made out bank. I mean, my Smith and Wesson and Colt revolver collection grew leaps and bounds because people were dumping that stuff, Grandpa's old revolver, whatever, so they could get a Glock, or they could get a this, or they could get a that, right? Because we just can't get them. And so, these types of situations are like 2020 and a panic buying. I tell people, think of it as an investment strategy and an opportunity, and shift gears, especially if you've already got an AR-15, you've already got that Glock, you've already got what people are freaking out over. Take that opportunity to look at things from an investment standpoint, and those people out there that are willing to dump a nice revolver at 50%, 40% of value, just so they can dump it and get into a semi-auto or something like that, because they fear they're going to be banned or whatever it might be. I mean, that's a great opportunity.
And when that happens, it's because most people are doing the same thing. So the value of, like, let's say a weird bolt or a lever or whatever it is, it's old, nobody wants it. The value of those nobody's buying those. So the stores aren't like, oh, we're getting premium price for that. So, whatever, like, you're going to get your best price ever.
Yeah.
On the both ends of that. Like,
Yeah.
there's a premium for what
And
you're getting rid of, and you're getting what you're getting at the lowest price possible.
Yeah, and you're talking about something that odds are, I mean, you go out right now, buy brand new AR-15, brand new in a box, let's say, or you buy an old Colt Trooper from Joe Bob across town. 2 or 3 years from now, which one's going to be worth more? Which one are you going to end up making money on investment wise? Whether you sell it or not, but the value wise, right? Which one is going to have increased in value more? And I mean, it arguably, I guess you could make a case depending on what AR you get and what legislation happens and other things. But arguably, that old revolver is going to be it for sure. But I wanted to hit on something you talked about with the times before. And I could remember multiple times. I can remember 94. I can remember 2000. I can remember 9/11. I can remember
2004-ish or somewhere in
Yep.
there was an issue with 7.62 by 39 because I can remember right at the end of the assault weapons ban.
Yep.
Well, before the end of the assault weapons ban, when I was working at AOL, 97 to 2000 something, it's when I started buying AKs. And back then, one of the nice things about buying an AK was $59 a thousand, something like that. And I was making way more money than I've ever made, and way more money to make right now for sure. So, like I say, we would get offended when they would say $79. I know it wasn't even, they never even get to 99. I'm pretty sure we got offended when they went to like $79 or $89 for it.
Right.
It wasn't a thousand. It was like a tin of 720 or whatever, you get in those spam cans. But like when it went to $70, we were like, oh, we're only going to be able to buy 5 instead of 6.
Right.
Assholes. Like we were upset.
Yeah.
And then that's what happened. Is it all something happened and all of a sudden, and I don't know if that was a shortage or if that was just an adjustment because of and it wasn't the ascent of the assault weapons ban, but maybe just the internet, maybe because we were so good at being AOL, like we were so awesome at AOL that we made people aware of the AK-47s, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted the M. But there was something, and then because I wasn't tuned in to like, there's the gun community and there's the industry and there's the Second Amendment and all that shit was nothing. Like none of that. There was guns and there was fishing poles and there was a truck, right? Like I didn't think about any of that other stuff. So I wasn't thinking about it like a shortage. I was just like, oh, ammo costs $79 instead of $59. What the hell just happened? Like I'm gonna throw this gun away and start doing something else as a hobby, right?
Right.
Right. So those were the shortages. It wasn't like we had the internet to tell us, be offended, there's a shortage right now. We just knew that something was going on.
Yeah.
And I think the other shortages may have been, and then I'm trying to think back, and this is part of the exercise, I guess, but when the Cold War stuff would end, and maybe it was like, and this is again something I think I need help with, but maybe all of it, like the South African 308. Do you remember that stuff in the band? It was in these tan things and then bandoliers.
Right.
And for a while there, it was sniffing around like, what's this South African 308? And then it's like, oh, it's that much cheaper than regular 308, so I can go shoot all afternoon instead of like one box. Like, okay, I'll try it. Oh my god, that was the best stuff ever. Like, how much more of this do you got? Oh, I need more of this. More. I'm shooting my 308 every weekend because I can shoot 308. South African 308 cost me nothing. I think it was $79 for one of them right. Brown things.
Yeah.
308, and then it's gone. And then it's like $30 a box to shoot. And you're like, oh, what happened? Everybody's against me. I can't shoot 308 anymore. Except this was like 98, so there was no internet to rage on. At least I wasn't raging on the internet about stuff like that. So those kind of shortages kept happening, and I guess we just ate it. We were like, okay, there's no more South African 308. It's not like South Africa's owes us 308 or something. Whatever war that was made for or whatever warehouse they got it from is empty, and we just dealt with it. But now it's like, I don't know. Do you think it's artificial, or am I totally crazy? There are no parallels between these kind of fluctuations. Maybe they're not shortage.
Yeah, they're totally different things. I don't remember. I can tell you some factors for 2013. I could guess at factors on some of the other ones. I don't remember anything from the 80s, 94-ish era is the first one I remember. And then, like I said, Y2K, 2000. The 9/11, which was 2001, I'm thinking, right?
Well, no, definitely Y2K, massive shortage. You couldn't get shot shells. You couldn't get wads. Yeah. People were taking anything because they thought they were going to be bartering it.
And then I was going to mention, I was moving ahead, and I was going to mention the 2005 is just what I was going to say. I'm not real sure when, but definitely in that arena. Obama's first election, we had a little bit of weirdness in 2008. And then of course 2013. Yeah.
Now it's the other thing is it because there wasn't pistol caliber carbines, there wasn't a run on things that didn't exist yet, right? There was no Glock 80%. No, not the 80%. The other accessories.
Well,
really.
everyone has been different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. They are
yeah.
different, but
Yeah.
they all existed, and that's where, because I think they're not all exactly the same. People aren't that lived through them all haven't like said, "Hey, what I'm trying to do, say, hey, calm your jets. Like this isn't the first time at the rodeo."
Right.
All this-
Yeah, because you may have been a gun person during that, but you weren't affected by it, or you made a great point, especially in modern times. I mean, you didn't have the internet, or it wasn't as prevalent and on your phone and in your face, so you may have noticed that. Crap, Walmart or the local gun shop or whatever don't have much of this ammo or much of these types of guns. And you really didn't think about it much at the time because it didn't necessarily affect you. You weren't into that. You didn't need that caliber. You didn't like that particular style of firearm.
you didn't know it happened at every Walmart because no one was around to say, "Hey, it happened at Walmart. It happened at my Walmart too."
Right. Exactly. So there's something to be said about how communication is literally two thumbs away. And in somebody's pocket nowadays, and being able to get more of a pulse of what's going on across the country. But even now, I mean, even with this that we're going through, you talk to different people in different parts of the country, or heck, even different parts of the state here, and it's like it's different in different areas. You know what I mean? There's some people that claim they can find certain calibers, and other people can't find things that I'm seeing on the shelves here. So it's weird.
So as far as what I've bought this year, I've tried to not buy anything that would be panic buying, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single gun I've bought has been a CNR gun.
Right.
And the 10 millimeter, I built that up myself from at 80%. So theoretically, I'm not contributing to the shortage. And the ammo I've been buying, I've been getting from the CMP. Because I figure everyone else can go to Walmart, and I don't want to take away ammo from the people that need it.
Right.
What CMP ammo? Like 30-06?
30-06. They have 40, 45 ACP. They got 38. They got 308.
40.
They got 223.
They've got 38. Okay. Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, 38 makes sense. Well, I mean, there's usually 38 revolvers around for weird reasons, like where they can't use a semi-auto. They'll still have a revolver around. That means you got to have armors, and that means you got to have training, so they'll have some.
Right.
But the 40, does that mean police, or did the Army have 40 somewhere?
For the CMP, Civilian Marksmanship Program.
Yeah, I thought all their stuff came from the military, but I guess the Army must use.
Well, they do the target shooting matches, so I think they sell ammo for those matches.
Oh, not necessarily service ammo, just ammo that's needed, or so they.
Yeah, I've never been to the actual store.
That's something that's what in Alabama, Tallahassee.
Yeah, one's in Alabama. I think they have 2 or 3 locations.
They act like there's 3, but I think the 2 are in Talladega next to each other.
Okay.
So they're technically like not next to each other, but they list them separate. But it was like the one existed and they just couldn't buy land next door. So it's like around some corner, I think.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky with this 10 millimeter. Came with a 40 barrel, so I can shoot 40 out of it or 10.
So what's the deal with 80% with 10? Are they rated for that?
Yeah, they sell them anyway. They say 10 millimeter.
Okay.
I don't plan on doing heavy, crazy 10 millimeter loads through it very regularly. But target shooting can just be 40. You can carry 10.
I don't know how to say that. So talking at work today with another guy about the election, I said I can't wait either way for the ammo to come back on the shelves. Where was it that I seen somebody had a discussion with somebody who seemed like they knew what they were talking about? Dang, it was a super boring chat too. I was about to shut it off, and then they had this, and it might even have been off topic. Dang, I can't even think. But I know that somebody had some. Anyway, this guy was, I can't think. I can't even remember. It was somebody in the industry, and it was adjacent to ammo, so it wasn't like an ammo person per se, but whatever it was, some kind of distributor or something. Seemed like they might have the kind of awareness that they were claiming to have,
Mhm.
and they said it pretty confidently. Anyway, he was saying middle of next year, the middle of whatever 21
Right.
would be the best time that, or the first time that everything would kind of come back based on.
Yeah.
And the way that reason I would even say this, even though it's super vague, is because the way he said it was, there's the first wave that'll come back, and then that's when everybody buys it up. And then the second wave is once they've satisfied and it hits the
Right.
shelves and people are satisfied to see it. So I guess probably the way the toilet paper had to like come back in kind of a wave so that it took all those people to feed off of it.
Right. I think you've got all the people that can't get anything. So when it does legitimately start coming around and they're able to do it, meet the demand, so to speak. You've got that rush of people that, because it is on the shelf, are all going to run out. So it's gonna seem like it's not coming back around, even though it is. But then you're right. They'll um, another month or two will go by and it'll be regular stuff. I see, with talking with some of the distributors, some of the ammunition manufacturers, knowing how the raw materials getting them into the country is working, and some other things right now with COVID and other things. Um, a lot of it is going to hinge on them, on the country getting open back up, because of that. But I think spring is from what I'm hearing, um, when it starts to come back around. So then I would agree with your assessment of the guy you was talking about, because you're absolutely right. I think spring, and then by the time it levels out, this is the earliest projection. I think spring it starts coming back around. By summertime, um, we're starting to see stuff back on the shelf pretty regular at a little bit higher price than what we've seen it before. Which people get upset when they say that. They'll go, "It'll never be back at the same price." Well, from one year to the next it's called inflation. Even in good times, prices will go up. I mean, it happens. So it's, yeah, you're going to see 10% maybe more expensive, I would think, once it does come back around.
I was trying to think of visualize how you would visualize that. It's probably like if a factory can do 100 a day, let's say, to try to keep it in round numbers, and that's what they can do, but they don't normally need to do that much. So let's say they normally do like 25, or I don't know what the numbers are, but let's say they try to visualize it. They normally do something lower than their full production.
Mhm.
So when they need to go full production, they probably have to figure out where to throttle it. So they're making 100 a day, they send that out to people, and what the middlemen, they send it to two middlemen, and then they send it to however many stores.
Right.
So whatever happens on the other end, the shelf at the store, the shop can normally order as many as they want. All of a sudden there's scarcity, they can only order, well, they can order whatever they want, but they're only going to get one box. So as soon as that store has an order in now, like, give me anything you got, like, my orders are anything you got. So what does that tell the factory? Run full blast, we got all these orders, give me anything you can give me, right?
Right.
So as soon as they give a shelf or one store one box, he puts it out and somebody snags it. It's going to take some amount of time because the distribution isn't too long. It's like manufacturer, middleman, store, us. So, the one box goes out and gets snagged, give me more. Finally the store starts getting 3 or 4 boxes, and they're only selling 2. Now I only need 2 boxes. I don't need give me all you got. I need 2 boxes.
Right.
As soon as that gets back to the factory, they can go, oh, it's not full production. I only need 75. Oh shit, I only need to make 75 today. I'll still make 100.
Right.
And then if pretty soon they're like, I got a full warehouse, quit making 100 a day. Like,
Right.
we're only selling 50 a day. The warehouse is full, and now they're back to normal production. Something happens and the warehouse empties and it starts all over again.
Well, there's something too that I think a lot of people don't realize, and it's really hard on your small businesses, your mom and pop local gun shops and stuff like that, because you've got the manufacturer, and then they allocate to distributors, and then a lot buy from the distributors. So the big buyers always get it first. That's the Bass Pro Shops, the Cabela's, the Academies, the Walmarts, those sorts of things are going to get priority over the mom and pop gun shops. And the bad thing about that is those bigger stores are where all of the vultures, when we're talking about a panic buy and all that, because you've got people going in for fishing gear, you got people going in for baseball mitts and baseball bats, or you got, you know what I'm saying? And while they're in there, because gun people are other people too. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to pick up 3 boxes of this or two," when they may not need it and they may not have even considered it, but they're in there, they're in the store with social media and everything else. They know the panic buying things going on, and so they walk by the counter. I'm guilty of that. I'll go to Walmart and I walk by the ammo counter, and I may or may not need the ammo, but it's just a habit to walk over there. And if I walk over there, and especially right now, if I see any 30-30, I'm going to buy a box. You know, it's like, do I really got to have it? Not really, but I'm there. You know what I mean? And so it's a situation to where you're feeding people that are just there ammunition right now that may not need it, and you're starving the mom and pop, the local gun shops, where they need that ammo to go with the firearms they're selling or with the training classes they're offering or something of that nature. Now, I heard P&W, and I've seen P&Ws there, other raw materials still an issue. It is easing up and has been for, I would say, the last month from what I'm hearing.
Whatever that thing, I think it was whatever I was listening to, and maybe this helps people who might have heard it tell me what I was listening to. The guy said something like, "Yeah, we don't mine lead anymore, but it's because we don't need to. We get all the we get enough lead reclaimed from the berms and ranges
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
so that we just turn that back. Though, like that all goes right to the lead. I mean, right to the bullet manufacturers who, turn it back into lead, and it's not like they're wasting lead at the anywhere along the process. So." We're shooting a bunch. Let's say we shoot 100 rounds of 9mm, and then that gets turned into 98 rounds of 9mm, and we shoot it and it's 97 rounds. You know what I mean? I don't know what the numbers are, but we're not losing that much lead. And then it's tire weights and other batteries and crap that make up the difference. But it's like however many recreational rounds of ammo. Oh, you know what makes up the difference? All the 7.62 by 39 that comes from other countries that gets incorporated into our berms and shit and is lead, right?
Right.
But
it's amazing the amount of lead. I mean, I'm a hoarder when it comes to lead. I haven't casted anything in quite some time, but still haven't given up on lead. I've got at this point a couple of drums. One full drum, one that's pretty close. I'd say 2/3, and then I got one of the smaller ones that you like see gear oil in or something like that. It might be like a 15-gallon drum or something like that. That's full. And I don't pass it up. I mean, anytime I'm on a range, they allow me to take a sifter, what do they call that? A colander or whatever. I keep one of those in the toolbox in my truck, and I keep a couple of 3-gallon, I think it is 2.5 or 3-gallon buckets, because if you've ever toted lead, it's heavy and the handles will break off of a 5-gallon bucket. You just can't tote it. But I'll get it wherever I can get it, Will Waits or range lead, and you're right, G. I mean, it's amazing the amount of lead that's in ranges. I mean, I can think of a range that's been there forever. It's a few hours from me. I usually only go if they're having a competition or something like that, but they know I'm going to bring buckets anytime I come in, and they tell me I can scoop up all I want. And it's amazing that they don't sell that off or something. We don't have any weird laws here in Texas where they have to do anything with it. Some states, I believe, do. But good Lord, I mean, it's behind the target backs. You know what I mean? On the berm itself, it's 4 inches, 5 inches thick, 6 inches thick with lead. I mean, it is unbelievable the amount of lead.
I never thought about this until right now, but something about what you just said there I don't even know if I want want to say this. This is scary. It's not Halloween anymore. What about the crazy? I mean, imagine the EPA restrictions those people might put on ranges. Worse than what's already there.
I think
Because that's killing ranges right now.
I think that's going to end up being a state issue because you already see some stuff, and honestly, it's not for the. I mean, it's a commodity. Lead is a commodity. Let's be honest about it. There's some cost there, so it wouldn't cost anybody to. I don't think that had a range to get somebody to come in potentially and clean that up. I mean, it wouldn't be super costly because it'd be kind of like cutting timber.
Well, I don't mean cost. I'm just saying the cost is in the. I'm talking. You ever seen what the indoor ranges who get fined millions of dollars because they don't have, even though they have $20,000 worth of suits and everything, they're missing one sponge and now they get fined.
Well, yeah, that's true.
They're just like little stupid loophole crap.
Right.
Dude is saying, I think that's a dude person, non-gender determined person, is saying, I think that's the least of our worries. So basically, the other components. So I just threw lead out there because it's heavy, but I have no idea about the brass or copper and stuff. I don't know. I was
address some of that if I can.
Oh, go ahead.
Lead right now is 50 cents a pound. Battery lead.
Hold on, you garbled there. What is 50 cents a pound?
Lead.
Like clean lead or what kind of lead?
Yeah.
Okay, clean lead.
Lead batteries, 30 cents a pound. Wheel weights, 15 cents a pound.
15?
15.
Okay.
And a lot more and more wheel weight are steel amalgam.
Or zinc. A lot of zinc and wheel weights too nowadays.
So I do
separate that stuff
recycling at two different ranges, both trap cleaning and brass. 55-gallon drums of brass, $600. Lead, take it away.
Well, you got to buy the brass from them for $600.
Yep. And it takes forever to sort it too in 5-gallon buckets.
Wait, hold on. $600 for a 5-gallon bucket of brass?
55.
Oh, I was going to say, holy crap, I'm rich.
All right. Yeah.
And those bulk petroleum barrels that are like 20s, half that.
Well, you're doing it though for the actual cartridges so that you can reload them and stuff. You're not using it for the brass or whatever, the material.
Brass gets returned. You have to really, really clean range brass. All the steel, all the aluminum, and with all the different coatings and manufacturers, it's probably about a 10% waste. Not that you can't recycle it, but not as brass. Aluminum's not worth a hell of a lot. And steel is in the basement.
Well, that's not at least wheel weights. That's not a very good price on wheel weights because I've got two good friends that own mechanic places that do tires and stuff. So I'll get wheel weights from them. And then I've got a couple of other ones that I go by regularly to look, and I also carry a digital scale in my truck for doing packages or whatever. And we'll usually look it up. And the last time I looked it up here, it was like wheel weights wasn't but like 13 cents a pound.
Mm-hmm.
But all that varies from area to area as well. It could vary. Scrap metal prices can vary across town, quite literally. I've seen that happen here where, one place, if you're talking about tin, for example, one place be given, 75 cents 100, but you could drive 10 miles across, town, the county, the other side of the county or something, and they're paying $1.25 or something. It's just weird.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they get really, really crappy, and in return visits are going to be lower priced because all they have to stick is a big ass magnet in those barrels when they tip them over, and they want to charge you for the cleaning basically by cutting your percent.
Right.
But you're right, there are two big recyclers here in town, and one of them's 5 blocks for me. And if it weren't for them staying open an hour later every day, the prices would probably normalize between the two. But since they're open late, they do actually give you a little bit better money.
So Hans is saying he took a 4x8 trailer full of scrap and got $19. The one, my 1986 van, right? A 1986 Chevy. It's a 1-ton van. I think the G30 is a 1-ton.
Mhm.
How much do you think that van is worth in metal?
$400.
$150 in metal. That's why I still own it.
Wow.
That's why I still own it. I refuse to give it away for $150. I don't care what it costs me to leave it in my backyard. I'd rather have it as a shed.
Wow. Yeah.
Plus, I'm gonna put a motor in it one day. I'm like Bob. I got too much of Bob in me. That's a horrible thing to say. Hung out with Bob too much. Let's put it that way.
Right. The vehicles I've had, rather than the only vehicles, Craigslist was a thing. I don't know that it still is. But I would list them on Craigslist and just sell them for like people that needed parts, or like record yards would get them because they had good parts, rather than scrapping them. It never was. Always got more that way. Not a whole lot more, but I didn't have to even jack with it. You know what I'm saying? You put it on Craigslist. Somebody wanted it for parts. They come out, look at it, they buy it, they load it on the trailer, they drive off, and I haven't had to do anything. So
Yeah, my
win.
out here seems real weird to me.
Recyclers here will come in flatbed, whatever you got, $300. And there are plenty of $200 cars out there. As soon as somebody gets a notice from the city, they're ready to go. Come and get it.
Yep. Yeah, car batteries are somebody out there was talking about that. I looked into that as a source for, lead for casting, and it's just, man, jacking with that acid and all that, it's just more than I cared to mess with.
I got a question. What about a fishing supply store, that sells lead? Is that a good spot to go? To buy some ingots?
Oh, I doubt it. There's no way you're using lead in water anymore. It's got to be something else besides lead anymore. There's no way.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you one place you can get lead if you know contractors that build piers and boathouses and things like that. Like build, rebuild, remodel, that sort of thing. I've gotten some really cool, because they don't put crap like that in the water hardly anymore. But and just buying fishing weights and doing it is super freaking expensive. That's the most expensive way to buy lead. But I've had some buddies that are contractors before, and like been over their house, and I'm like, what is that? It'd be this big, huge cylinder with a hook or an eyelet, I guess you could say, on one end, solid freaking lead. And they're like, oh, that come off of a so-and-so, the anchor for the boathouse or the whatever, right? That they remodeled, and they just give them to me. Pain in the butt to melt that.
Oh, like back in the old days, they would just take a chunk of lead and tie a chain to it so that their boathouse didn't float away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I never thought about that. Yeah,
yeah. And then I've got plumber buddies that, old lead pipes and things like that I've got from them before. Think about it. used to once upon a time drink out of lead pipes, right? How crazy is that?
That's how I learned how to sweat pipes was lead sweating.
Yeah,
My grandpa decided that was important for me to learn, I guess.
right.
You know how many times I had to ever let sweat a lead pipe? The one time he showed me like how to do it. Okay, thanks, Grandpa. And then we never did that ever again that I know.
Now the pants,
I thought about it one time almost, but then I didn't.
I just scrapped a boat the other day, and I did not even know that. But now I'm stressing over it. But
Oh,
Pants
snap.
says Pants says buy scrap boats. The old ones had lead ballasts in the hull, and I never knew that and never thought to check. And yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, whenever you have a boat, and especially if you're getting rid of the boat, you're going to want to go over it from stem to stern, as they say, to make sure of any booty or pirate treasure, because you never know.
I guess we dug a big hole and dumped it in there and covered it up because I was
Can you
tired of
imagine?
it.
Can you imagine being a pirate nowadays? It's got to be frustrating as hell.
Right.
Fucking X's everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Window weights, yeah, that's another thing. Of course, wouldn't the same junkies that get the copper out of the wires? They're probably taking all the window weights if they have heard of it before, because there's some value to lead, right?
Hmm.
Maybe they can't carry lead. No, they can carry lead. They do the drugs. They get superpowers.
Right.
Didn't know what was the thing. All right. Well, we've been all over the lead topic. We can go back to the tour real quick. If I or when I go, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to Tulsa. I mean, it's still the point because that gets me to those two museums. It's just that I'll just be spending my time will be reprioritized when I'm in Tulsa, right? But one of the things I'd like to do is go to that. I guess it's Pitcher, Oklahoma, where all the lead comes from, and check that out. I don't know if you were around. I don't know who all is in here, but we were looking earlier at this giant uh, steam shovel that um, was used, I guess, to pull a lot of that lead out of the ground. Kind of interesting. It's up in Kansas. All right, Clover jumped out of here. Can't talk about lead too much with him. He got to start reloading, I guess.
Did you relocate that boulder-sized lead chunk?
Oh, I've looked for it on satellite view before. Problem is with satellite view is they only take a snapshot every once in a while. So for some reason it was obscured or the shadow wasn't laying right. It might just look like a because it was kind of a cube from what I remember. Like, and it might have just been a shed, and I might be crazy. I was driving by, and I think I saw it. I took a double take, so I think I saw it. But anyway, from the straight above, it might look like a parking lot for all I know, or like a pad from a shed or something. If it didn't cast a shadow. But anyway, I couldn't find it. I think I kind of know where it was based off of some of the intersections, and I never found it. What's going on here? I'll give you a tour if you want. We can go shoot while we're there. What's he talking about? Is lead paint stronger than latex paint? I guess so. I don't know why they use lead in paint. Do you? Anyone know?
I got no idea.
The red, it's because it's the oxide color. It's a barn paint and stuff. Along with iron oxide. Yeah.
According to Chemistry World, um, if everyone's known lead is so big deal or such a toxic thing, why are we using it in paint? Why any paint that relies on for its color white lead or lead whatever is a typical example. So something that was white, something that's vivid yellow is another color of lead. So yeah, it's this the I guess the wild colors. It's able to be highly opaque. so that a very limited or small amount could cover a large area. So it's just an efficient paint, I guess. It says it's very insoluble in water, making it highly water resistant. So it's got that to it, I guess. It gives it a washable finish. And then it says it can also neutralize the acidic decomposition of products that some of the oils in paint. So I guess there's acidic decomposition from oils in paint, and when you have lead in there, it counteracts that. It says also that the lead coating stays tough yet flexible and crack resistant for longer. So I guess it was basically a miracle paint. I don't know why we don't use it.
I heard it also tastes better.
Yeah, it's kind of salty. It was sweet, I guess. So lead is toxic, and as young children, you tend to chew on things. Why don't you smack the kid when he's chewing on something? They're particularly prone to ingesting it. Not that good in their vulnerable developing brains. I guess it's because of their brains. It was increasingly recognized that it's horrible. I don't want to keep reading this. So then it gets into some science, and they just don't care. Once you're in chemistryworld.com, they're like, they don't even need a spoiler. Like, let's just get straight into the horrible things that happen to little kids. It says stuff about that's happening in China. So if you hate China with a passion, they don't care about lead, and they're dealing with all this horrible stuff I'm not going to read. So it looks like it's pretty horrible. So even though it's an awesome paint, don't let kids ingest it. I want to know what's more toxic than lead. Anyone? Socialism. I don't know. It's difficult to argue with that. Very heavy. Oh, okay. Here's the thing. Shooting in Pritchard would be the shit, right? How awesome would it be to shoot the lead right back into the hole where it came out of, just to teach Mother Nature a lesson. Here you go. You're so good, I'm giving your lead right back to you. The kids played on the chat piles and got lead poisoning, so the EPA bought the town out. Is that what happened? They just bought the whole town? That's why it says government owned everywhere. I figured those were government mines because they wanted the lead out of there. So do you know, is it holes? I'm going to go look right now. Is it holes of lead, like they made tunnels into the ground somehow, and then that white stuff is what come out of the tunnels? Or were they scraping the ground up where that thing is, and they just dumped the dirt down there because Kansas was like, fuck it, I don't want this lead-filled dirt in Kansas. Go dump it in Oklahoma. They won't care.
Yeah, I think it's strip mining.
So basically, they stripped the lead out of Kansas and then trucked it down to Oklahoma to leave it in just big piles for their kids to get killed in. Mine lead, is that what it's called then, I guess? It looks like snow hills. Like, I would totally see a little kid going, look at that massive white hill. Let's go over there and play in it.
Yeah,
I want to play in it.
Something similar to this happened in town in Montana. They had a asbestos mine, and then they'd take the fill dirt and they'd use it all over the town. And so the entire town was contaminated with asbestos. I think it's Libby, Montana. There was a documentary on it. And the EPA had to come in and take all new dirt, take all contaminated dirt out, cost shitloads of money. It's ridiculous.
Oh, here we have really big copper mines, and one of them, imagine you start digging a hole, and because whatever, they decided, let's dig a hole here, and then years later, the hole's huge and literally massive, but they probably dug beyond it, like below it or whatever, so they're like, there's no point in digging a deeper hole anymore. And even though it's a giant, it's one of the biggest holes or something, like, we're going to now dig sideways. So as soon as you start digging sideways, well, I guess somewhere along the line they said, hey, we need to build a town. let's put it here on the side of our big hill, or I mean, on the side of our big hole, right? But then at some point they're like, we can't dig down anymore. We got to dig sideways. And you know how it is, Murphy's Law. Inevitably, they're like, dang it, we got to dig right underneath the town. So they'll move the town over. Or other times, it's not like they necessarily dig underneath the town, but the hole starts becoming an oblong hole. And it's annoying to have the town way the hell over on the other side of the old hole when we're working on this hole. So they'll just move the town a quarter mile or a mile, or how big the hole is, like down towards where they're actually working now. And in those kind of situations where the town keeps shuffling around, there'll be like 8 towns that are named the same thing, where you can kind of tell where like they just started like nobody lives here anymore. They just started dumping rock on the old school. Like it's just half buried and stuff. And I could see something like that where, like you're saying, like all the dirt and stuff that comes out of the mine, because they literally will just say, oh, let's stop putting tailings here and leave a plateau and then put the school there and the little town will pop up, because it's only going to be here for 3 years until we move the hole again. Something like that I could see, where the whole town is like basically, like you say, like knee deep in whatever's coming out of that hole. They just all live in whatever that dirt is. And I guess back in the day, they didn't realize asbestos was going to kill them.
Yeah. It was a really cool material. I mean, for like fire retardant, but that shit's super bad for you.
They say that they would have clothes made out of it, and you could like jump in the mud and jump back out, and your coat would still be all white and clean. You could burn it, and it would be all nice and clean still. Like it was sort of like a miracle, water resistant, can't get stained type of material when you'd sew clothes out of it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So yeah, it looks like our lead mines are basically like I was thinking, like a whole shaft, and then they clear out like floor, then they dig another hole down, and then flood. So it's like basically an inside out building, high rise. They just keep digging down, dig a floor of lead, go down another floor, dig out a floor of lead, and then probably at some point poke I don't know, I'm just guessing they poke the pieces out between the floors. But the pictures I'm looking at are also more like huge. They're not what I'm looking at in Oklahoma. So somebody had said tunnels from Pitcher to Joplin. Tunnels from Pitcher to Joplin that crush the rock. So you don't mean they're connected that far. You're just saying the tunnels are various places throughout, and then they take them over to Pitcher to smash it up. That makes sense. And then that's what they got is the white powder that's left over.
Yeah, I think that's part of a comment from above. I think he was saying that there's a bunch of tunnels that cave in every once in a while.
That would make sense. That would normally happen, especially with all the water that's in Oklahoma. You would think that stuff would get, like, it would be really difficult to keep them from not caving in.
Man, I can't imagine how terrifying that would be. You're just in your house, and then the earth swallows your entire house.
Well, especially, yeah, a deep tunnel, and you're not like, it's not like, oh, it swallowed my house to 6 feet down, so it was startling, and then it stopped. But like a crevice that just never ends, and you're just swallowed or you're gone. That would suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some really old streets on the north side of downtown that saw, tons of weight, and the site of Union Pacific Rail Yard and everything else. Streets will just start to develop sinkholes and fall out, and the city just rings them with the sawbucks with reflectors and flashing lights on them, and expect people to just drive around them for months and months and months, because they don't know how big it's going to get. They don't even try to service it. People go without water as well in those areas. So yeah, the bubble up from groundwater and the river swell we had when the Missouri was all bank busting a couple 5 years back. That was especially spooky because we have a nuclear power plant upriver from us, and everybody was just freaking out about that.
Now, is that from fracking or something else, or just from that water?
No, just the way it is. The fracking was actually for the pipeline was stopped. So I mean, and the largest aquifer in the United States is under us. It's huge.
So it's just like natural, something happened underground, a bunch of fluid went from here to there. Now there's a void where there wasn't before, and then eventually something happens and it caves in.
Yeah, the ground swallow from the glacial ice sheets that came down. It just that's what carved out the flatness. Just wore it down in the Midwest, and that's why we have the Missouri and the Mississippi both, and you take them all the way up into Canada. So yeah, it's a lot of years, a lot of flowing.
I wish I knew how to say that. Somebody can instruct me on how to say it, 'cause I don't know how to say it. But they're saying going by Dragon Man on the tour, I'll pay your way. So I do appreciate the offer. I'll throw the link out there. I'll use that as an opportunity to throw the link out there. So we do have a campaign going. So if you want to, feel free. You can do that by participate and either grab a patch or the book. The book in various versions of this show or in past episodes of this show, I guess, we would do different parts of that book, either doing the cartooning or doing some of the assembly work. Often I'm doing that stuff like now when I'm not screen sharing. I'm just over here doing tasks on my other monitor as we're chatting. This is ideally what the Daily Gun Show would be. A bunch of people having a valid, interesting conversation that isn't manipulated by the whatever, telling us what we're supposed to talk about today, but just literally interesting conversation that's gun focused. And then I'm over here trying to get things done. And that's what the book is all about. So got the campaign going. I guess I was throwing the link in there. And if you wanted to pay the way to Dragon Man, I guess I was going to say you could grab the book over there. I want to go buy Dragon Man's definitely. At this point, since I don't have what am I calling it? Like the pin in the calendar that I have to be in Tulsa for the actual show, since they canceled it, then I can be in Tulsa at any time. It gives me way more flexibility. First off, I can save a lot of money because I'm going to be doing the breaks myself instead of taking it to a place. But whenever I leave, I could now don't have to drive straight to Tulsa. I could go down and see Clover first, for example. If I really had a bunch of success with the campaign, I could drive down to see Matt first, come up and see Clover. And we open up a map on, but you get the idea. Come up to see Clover, go over to Dallas probably, just because I'm driving all around. I might as well see Dallas again when I'm not in a big hurry. Then go up to Tulsa, see the the Daisy Museum, hang out in Tulsa, see the Tulsa stuff, see the Daisy Museum, perhaps see the other museum, the Saunders Museum in Arkansas. You have to start taking numbers here of how many museums we're talking. J.M. Davis, Woolaroc, the one that Walt told me about in Tulsa, so that's 3. Then you got the Daisy Museum is 4, and then Saunders, if it's open, is 5. I already say the Texas Hall of Fame Museum on the way there. I might be able to hit that. Then it would be 45th Infantry Museum in Oklahoma City. Book over to Texas Panhandle and hit the Panhandle Museum, so that's 8. Go up to Dodge City, hit the Boot Hill Museum, that's 9. Dragon Man is 10. And then the problem is, I'll talk about that in a second. Then Dragon Man coming home would be the gunsmithing school in Trinity. Then it would be the 11th museum with the NRA museum for the millionth time in New Mexico. That would be 11 museums. And if I ended up really doing well, we could afford to get over to California and then that would potentially be if I had time in California, 3 more? So that could be a pretty amazing tour, and that wouldn't even be hitting that Panhandle or the Museum of the Fur Trade that we found out was closed because of the season is over or whatever. But then going back to Dragon Man, the day this campaign will end, 11/11/2020, Veterans Day is his last day that the museum's open. So that day will be the last day, and I don't know if everything would have been good to go, if the van was no issues and I could just jump in a van, pack some clothes, take the credit card and go, I probably could have got to Dragon Man to see the last one. That's basically what I did last year, though. So I hauled ass to get to Dragon Man to be in the last tour of the year. It was pretty cool. But either way, I'm still going to Dragon Man's. If I'm heading to Tulsa and I'm able to, I'm going to head up to Dragon Man's. And I'd like to, that's something else. I don't know if that's possible or not, but I'd like to be able to give a copy of the book I'm talking about, the Firearms Museum Passport or Tour, whatever you want to call it. I'd like to give him a copy of that because he's in it, right? His museum is in it, and his museum ain't shabby. Like, his museum holds its own in any aspect you want. Like, it's a freaking awesome museum, and the numbers show it. And that, I'm not promoting his museum over others, but certainly, right? Or it certainly holds its own. So anyway, I'm hoping to be able to give him a copy and then see if he wants to help or have it in the shop to sell at the shop or whatever. But anyway, I'll still be able to go by the place. It's just that the museum tours end for the season because he doesn't heat his museum. It's too cold. And actually, when I was there last year, it was cold as hell. I was wearing my boots and winter socks, and I had a coat and a hoodie and stuff on, and my feet were killing me. I thought I was going to die. Like, I thought I was standing in cold water. My feet were just numb. I have no idea what the weather's like in Arizona. It's super hot. It's actually like unseasonably hot, I think still. Well, today it wasn't, but it's going to be again. So I have no idea what it's like up in Colorado.
Yeah, I can't imagine the cost of heating that place.
Yeah, his actual museum. And it doesn't have any insulation, so it would just be constant waste of energy. Our streams. Oh, but now I was going to make some kind of political joke, but let's see. Our streams and rivers are permanently dead. Tar Creek is the main one. Wow, yes, they're connected. Holy, so that's basically what takes, how long does it take to drive that? It would probably be hours, many hours, 3 hours of driving, and that's all a bunch of underground tunnels. That's crazy. It was all the lead from World War I, or most of it.
So is this going to be called the Museum Loophole Tour then?
No. I mean, the Loophole Tour has always been, or not always, it's been focused on museums. And basically what I've been driving, the goal would be, or the kind of thing was firearm or gun shows on the weekends and shops during the day. But in reality, it's just really difficult to get a gun show every weekend that is a week away from each other, or 4 days, or however long it is that you're going, right? So if they're not that close and all that, so it would be like every other weekend. So I just could, even when I was on the road for a while, I've been on the road for 50 days in a year, for quite a few years. I just couldn't figure out how to get to another gun show all the damn time. And then the shops, I'd like to be able to be driving during business hours all the time, but sometimes I can't, and sometimes I just can't. Like, I have to book or something. So anyway, even though it'd be awesome to stop at every gun shop, I either sometimes drive where there are no gun shops. Like, most of New Mexico has no gun shop. Most of Arizona has no gun shop because there's only gun shops in the cities, and there's not that many cities. So
I thought it was pretty neat that you were going to all these museums.
Well, I guess since I'm bullshitting, I'm just explaining. I guess we got Kurt here, so I'm just assuming that reminded me that there might be somebody else out there that's actually not aware of one of them. Anyway, so the Firearms Museum just evolved. Those are the things that, for the most part, they're open, every day, and there's enough of them that I can hit them all over the place. So they just became more of a feature for the tour just because they're more easy to get to and all that kind of stuff. But then as I started going to more and more of them, I think like a lot of things, once you start going to more and more, you start appreciating them in a different way. Sort of like if you went to a lot of ranges, or like I've been to a lot of gun shops. I think, gun shops probably differently than somebody who's only going to their local gun shops, right? I'm not buying anything and doing it a whole different view of it. So anyway, that's where I started focusing on them. And then I've said the story about the book specifically. I got all into them and I never even thought about it, but I can't imagine, I don't know how many people have been to that many firearms museums. There can't be that many nerds that are into it and then also have done it, right? So then, and then I keep telling that story where then I find out after all that there's like a big convention of firearms museums and they all get together and gossip and don't invite me to it and then mope the whole time that they don't get anybody to go to their firearms museums. So that's when I made the book and gave it to people I thought would be able to do something about it, and nobody gave a shit. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to keep making the book. So that's the book. That's my little story of the book. And that's why you can imagine after this whole year, I've been basically writing this book, The 50 States, which is really just the almanac, rebuilt into the states instead of calendar, which is basically not a big piece of it, but part of that was the museums and stuff. It's to the reason I'm trying to get Second Amendment into people's hands is to think about all the different ways. Like too many of us think of Second Amendment as like what we buy at the gun shop and then YouTube. That's just barely two pieces of it, right? Like there's way more legs on that stool. So the museums just became like whatever. I think a really big opportunity, really neat thing that we've got. And then, like I said, they sorry, I'm reading.
It's all right. I love all that stuff, Matt, because you get to go to places that I'm probably never going to go. And I get to at least see it.
Well, I'm hoping that it also encourages them to realize that they're appreciated and that even though people aren't showing up, it doesn't mean people don't care. Just the minute they can't show up, they don't go to a million places. It doesn't mean they don't care about them. The Will Rogers Museum, I'm sorry, I just realized that people are actually chatting, and because it doesn't happen very often, I'm used to blabbing. I'm happy to not blab. I really don't like blabbing. Will Rogers Museum is in Claremore. Yeah, I don't know. Will Rogers, didn't he sing or something? I don't know. My grandpa and my grandma really liked Will Rogers. So there's just some part of me that I can't like stuff that my grandma liked, right? Or I'm aware of it, I respect it, but it ain't my thing. It's my grandma's thing.
He was huge as an American humorist. He was, gentle in his language and kind in his approach, and gave people, kind of wholesome humor, as well as being both a recording and a movie star.
Like a Harrison Ford of the time?
In singing cowboy movies actually was his genre. But remember, his horses was Trigger. And Trigger is stuffed.
Let's see. So then, got some sort of a little. Is that a plant that's eating something? Stationed at Carson. Oh, I hear what you're saying. And then the USS Oklahoma battleship is in someplace Oklahoma on your way from Tulsa to Dallas. All right, that's good to know. I don't know if I've done that one. I think I went. Oh no, I don't know. So that's good to know. And that's water, or is it? It must be in the water somehow, right? There's no way they got a battleship up off the water or something. Why is there a battleship in Oklahoma? I think there's some sort of a river that goes, the freaking Kansas River or Missouri River goes up into the thing there, and there's like a port of entry there. It's a pretty big waterway. utilize websites like gunshows.com. They list the show state by state. Actually, that's a great question. I use them when I'm figuring out where to go. Yeah, because there's two of them, big ones, and they're both verified. Like they both try to stay up to date. So if a show gets canceled, normally, occasionally a show gets canceled. It's not like this year. It's all weird. But in a normal year, some fluke will happen or something happens and a show gets canceled. And historically, if a website talks about a gun show, it's never updated for like a fire happened or the promoter decided to break a leg and they can't do it. If something happened and the show's canceled, the website was almost, especially the calendar websites that accumulated all the shows, they were almost never updated. And they figured out that nobody was going to their sites because of it. So they've gone the opposite way, and they usually are pretty decent at it. So yeah, not only do they tell you when everything is, but you can sort them half the time to get almost exactly what I need out of them. Which one's coming up next weekend or something like that. But what I wanted to do ideally, and I forget now where the states they're in. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna have to go double check. In fact, it's right here actually. But the two of those, exist. They're humans. They're people. So I'd like to go interview them and find out what makes them tick. Why? I guess it's possible that they're making a shit ton of money, but I really don't think they're making that much money doing it. So I suspect they're just doing what they've been doing for so long out of what do you call it? Just genuine like interest in making sure gun shows don't fail. Because it just seems like, from what what insight I have, there's just nothing to. I doubt that I'm going to go find that they live in mansions. That there's nothing that's lucrative. That's about promoting gun shows. All it is the potential for people to get mad at you and never come back if you get a mistake ever. As far as like, I drove all the way here and it was nothing it wasn't a gun show that weekend. Here's the problem. On the 50 states 2A, if you don't know what state it's in, I could be sitting here forever trying to find it. But I know I did put the two gun show promoters in here, or whatever. It wouldn't be gun show promoters, but the gun show calendar website headquarters in here. Yeah, I'm not gonna find them, but I should try to find them somehow. And I know how to find them backwards off the website, and then find out if they're anywhere near my path. Thing is, just because they exist and they're in the state I'm going to doesn't mean they have any interest in being interviewed or talking to me. I was a 4-state truck driver for years and a gun in history nut. I love that stuff. Right on. Yeah, I definitely will. Feel free to jump in anytime. We got a link out there. You can join in. I know it's kind of late, but we're available in other shows occasionally. And this dude over here will do shows in the mornings. So if you're more of a morning person, on Sunday mornings, he's got a show. It is the Arkansas River. Thank you. It is the Arkansas River. Let's see. Stupidest thing since I heard of. I don't know what that is. It was in Pearl Harbor? I didn't know that. Holy crap.
Imagine the logistics of that. Holy Toledo.
Did it go overland or through Panama? Can't imagine it could go overland. Jesus.
No, there's no freaking way. Those things are way too massive. I can't even imagine. There's no way. Any overpass, they'd be screwed. They couldn't go over any overpass, and they couldn't go. They couldn't be on any over. They couldn't go over anything. There's no way.
Did they cut it up? It already sank.
Would they though? I don't think they did, because they more than likely they do make giant boats that you put even gianter boats on top of, and then like skid them around. They probably did something like that, right? Or you ever seen
full of tankers?
a lot of times when a monkey gets way too big, they'll put like 2 helicopters on each hand and a helicopter on each ankle. They could have done some shit like that.
Like 4 Chinooks trying to raise a battleship. Wow. I know a guy who had one, and he did transplants of grain silos. He'd hover over, hook it up, lift it, fly it, low altitude, dragging it behind him in the air, and plop it down on a new foundation at a farm in a 5-mile or 5-county area. That's pretty trippy. We got to go up in it as Boy Scouts, and the side doors were open, and we were supposed to stay belted in, but on the way back down, before the descent, he let a few of us stand up in the cargo hold, and that was the beginning of my desire to parachute, which I finally got to do, but I've only done tandem since then.
I never got signed the Chinook. I can tell, like at a museum or whatever. It was way smaller. I always thought they were way bigger from watching them. They're like,
I don't know about jumping out of a pretty good airplane. I'm out.
I don't know what this dude's saying with all this stuff. So there must be some language barrier, I guess. I'm getting faded here. I'm getting tired. The site I listed is very basic and looks like it was coded, but it's usually up to date. What's he talking about? Maybe I'm not getting everything. Oh no, you're talking about gunshows.usa. No, I know exactly the site you're talking about, and you're 100% right. It definitely was built in like the mid 90s, and then they never updated it because they never bothered. And they've updated tiny little pieces, but it's definitely old code, and it works. Everybody uses it. At some point, it's going to break because the phones don't use the same stuff anymore. So at some point, they're going to quit that backwards compatibilization more than likely. Although I'm crazy, they're going to just make some little emulator in the phones, and they're just going to walk right past that. Had to ceasefire plenty of times because of what he's talking about.
G, if you're not alone, and none of what he's talking about makes any sense to me.
Yeah, okay.
I was fishing for an acronym again, and I can't make anything out of that.
Like you always say, you left the link in the chat. If you wanted to communicate, you could just jump in and explain.
That being said, I can't stop going. So I think what happened, I was minding my business, having a perfectly good morning. Dog was happy, was rubbing her belly, and then Foos comes along. Ding, ding, ding. Start getting a text from Foos. And he's like, it's like thunder happened out of nowhere. And then it was like a big semi truck, or maybe like a big tank was driving by, like it started rumbling. And then find out that the show ended. And then I was like, we gotta save what we can, right? We gotta do something. We can't let this happen without a fight. So went online to save the show. And it turns out you can't save the show by going online. So was online for a while. And then I think I went offline for about 15 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And then somebody started. I think then it was Clover's show. And then after Clover's show, Matt was already going. So I jumped on there because they were talking about the Baby Yoda show. And then that show ended. And then we were off air talking a bit off air of Matt's show, and then this show was already starting. So I've been online for quite a while.
Well, I'm gonna head out and go to bed. But
Right on, I'm right behind you.
Rest easy.
But that being said, did anybody watch Baby Yoda last night? Baby Yoda show?
I
I
don't
do.
give Disney no money.
Neither. Just don't watch it.
Is there a way to see it that's not on the Disney network?
Probably not. So we'll put that up
No, that'd be impossible.
there. Same thing. Well, you were in Matt's chat, so we were in there talking about it.
Yeah.
I got there late. Like I say, I just explained where I was at. I was things. So yeah, I didn't really like it. It was I mean, I don't like Baby Yoda. He seems like an Ewok to me. I don't mind having a Baby Yoda exist, but they're exploiting the Baby Yoda at this point. And I don't like the way he walks. I don't mind if you're gonna cram a puppet down my face, but don't six different ways.
You're lagging and roboting hardcore, G.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
You lost coherence after you said you didn't like the way he walked. Okay, the robots have attacked Tucson.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
All right, is that any better?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So I was just ragging on the Baby Yoda show.
yeah. The way he walked specifically.
Oh, lots of things. Yeah, I just don't like I say, if they just put him in a corner and use him once in a while to do something funny, it would be fine. But they're just wasting too much time on him, and he doesn't do anything. He just sits there, and if he was eating a bunch of eggs, and that just I didn't understand that whole thing. So unless
he's-
it's something,
He's 50 years old, too. Can you imagine taking care of that thing for 50 years? And it still can't do anything?
yeah, and it's still a little baby, that doesn't make any sense, right? Like it literally just doesn't make any sense. So maybe if they, I can't even imagine where you would grow up so slow and dumb that you're going to be a dummy like for 50 years. It makes no sense. If he was like, it takes my bones time to grow, but I'm like a teenager in here or something. That's one thing. But he's like basically nothing. He's a baby. So yeah, he's eating eggs. And
When he was
but
on Dagobah in Empire, wasn't he like 800 something? And he never got above what, 2 feet tall?
Yeah, 900 years old.
oh no, yeah, that's
Oh.
he's only a dude when he's old.
By then he's levitating
But-
rocks with no problem.
Yeah, and he's walking around, and he's not. Well, okay. Sometimes he walks around. I guess it depends on what movie you're watching, and sometimes he hovers in that little skateboard-looking thing. So I don't know. Anyway, I wouldn't mind if he did stuff or if he just sat there, but for some reason they just keep doing stuff to show him, and it's just to show off new dolls they can sell or whatever. Because it's always like in some way that he's got the kind of expression that the next toy is going to have.
He looks like an abbreviated glowworm toy, the one where you squeeze it and the head lights up.
Oh yeah. Makes me a troll, a bald troll. Today,
With
though,
orcish ears.
and that's these shows. It's tough to watch them when there's no consistency. I guess normally the guy's got his wits about him. It's really tough to pull one over on him. He's super agile and aware, and then they yank a giant cord up in front of him an hour and a half before he comes anywhere near it, and he hits it and falls over. So when that happens, they show the Baby Yoda at least like doing something that you don't normally see, like getting basically falling or dragged along or whatever you want to say, like in a wreck. I don't know. I guess that's a little something better than just seeing a puppet all the damn time, because you could see like his feet flailing, like he was rolling or whatever you do when you get in a wreck. I can't even control the audience. I am going to start wrapping it up. We've lost pretty much everybody. Not everybody watching though. So, and we still got people commenting. Bishop's seen the Mandalorian. I like to call it Baby Yoda show. It pisses everybody off. I'm old. I remember DOS. You mean computer DOS? Right on. Once this show is back on track, and we were chatting, I think about this with Clover earlier, or maybe one of my chats, because I've also had some live chats the last couple of days trying to, what's the word, plan or prep for the show. And I figure I'd do that live sometimes. So, okay, totally lost my thing. So I'm definitely getting tired. Still haven't seen any of the Mandalorians. I don't know. I mean, you have to watch it. If you like Star Wars, it's worth watching. There's all kinds of pieces I won't spoil from you that since it's made in 2020 and they've already got the advantage of knowing what people like and they don't like, they're putting in all the cool stuff that people wish they would have seen more of in the movies, where you get a glimpse of something or just allude to something or whatever. Like, you get a lot more. You can go back up to the buffet and get a second helping of some really neat stuff in Mandalorian. That said, the story is basically Boba Fett is babysitting a baby Yoda. And it's kind of boring. Like, they don't do anything good.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch it week to week if you haven't seen it yet. Just wait for the season to come out.
Yeah, if they made it a movie, I'd watch the movie. And I watch it week to week because it's fun talking to Matt. And because I guess watching it week to week, if it all came out at once and we all said, yeah, we liked it, we would just stop talking about it. But week to week, we get more opportunity to hear the nerd stuff. At least I enjoyed listening to all the nerd stuff that those guys know about I don't know, maybe the filming or how it relates to one of them books or whatever. Let's take the opportunity today, just because I'm thinking about it. Of course, now I said that and I can't remember the name of the place, but some dude in Matt's chat earlier gave us a link to a place that has a ton of audiobooks. So there's some really neat audiobooks. I'd highly recommend seeking them out. When I was looking for the ones Matt was talking about, I think those were Rogue Squadron. Couldn't find them, but what I found on YouTube was pages of other audiobooks. So there are a ton of Star Wars audiobooks. I have listened to a few. Some of them are really neat. They have like Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher, doing all the real cast doing the voices, which is super neat. And then some of the others, which go into these stories that I don't really understand because they're not in the movies. Anyway, so I'd highly recommend, if you can, or if you're interested, dig out some of the audiobooks out there.
I posted the link in the private chat.
Right on. As I was saying that, I was also so loopy and tired that I'm like, I probably am not going to say the link. So just know that there are places you can find it. Let's just leave it.
Okay.
Because I have no idea where that came from or what's going on. But let's just say there's definitely links out there. And if you really need to know, let one of us know and we'll let you know.
Yeah, the Han Solo series is really good. I have those in hardback. Stars and I'm having trouble remembering. It's been a decade or more since I broke them out. And there's an awesome Luke and Leia story, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and it's about an Empire outpost and this sliver of some crystal that's strong with the Force, and they tag team Vader on this soggy, overgrown planet populated by jackboots and this poor native species that they call greenies.
Hold on, I yawned as you said something Vader. What did they do to Vader?
Tag teamed him. Luke and Leia do.
Oh, they fight him?
Yeah. On this backwater.
Where would that have been? Between Empire and Jedi?
I don't remember where to place it. I think it would be after Empire.
I guess some of those books technically could take place. You could write a whole book about something in the middle of movie, right? Like something happens in a movie and they go, hey, remember when we went from here to here? Well, here's a whole book about that. So, like that could, I guess, happen. I don't know if there are, but I guess now that I'm thinking about that could be a thing.
Did he have his hand?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think
That would have been between A New Hope and Empire.
Empire. Yeah, you're right.
And he didn't have a lightsaber after Empire.
Yep.
I have this highlighted up here. Rob was saying I'm old. I remember DOS. So that just made me think of something I was saying before. That when we get the show back up and running, Mondays will be tech, behind the scenes, how to run a channel, that kind of stuff. Not how to run a channel. It'll be beyond that. It'll be how to run a channel 5, the advanced class. So topics on how to create content and when and that kind of stuff. Tuesdays, Second Amendment Tuesday, pretty easy. It's going to be about Second Amendment and that kind of thing. Wednesdays is the entertainment day. So that's when we'll chat about different books and movies and whatever. I don't really play video games, but entertainment stuff, pop culture, that kind of thing. Thursdays, I'm changing to tour and training. So we'll be talking about looking back at the tour, talking about the tour, planning, like if it was happening this week, we'd be looking at imminent tours and stuff, but also looking back at some of the tours we've driven around for 60,000 miles and seen 200 gun shops. And I don't like to just keep saying that. I like to feature some of those gun shops are really neat. And that's the whole point, is to share that stuff. So that'll be Thursdays. And then Fridays is the industry and tech. So what's next, and what is our industry? So like I say, we've never tried to be what's the topic of the day. I just don't have it in me anymore. I'm not an activist enough to just don't got it in me to do like what's going on in 2A every single day. I don't think that's not necessary. I think it's probably something that's worthwhile. I'd be interested in participating in a collaborative thing, but I just don't have the ambition or the interest to do, this is what's happening in Nebraska this weekend, or this is what happened in New Jersey today, and here's what might be happening in Arizona or something. Not that it's not valid or necessary. Like I say, I just don't have it in me to do it. So what we'll do is, like I say, those topics that we just kind of mentioned there, the general themes of the day. So thanks, Rob, for the reason that triggered that in my head, and I figured I'd throw it out there. Since this has been a pretty decent show, and I think that might be a good way to wrap it up. If DJ or Bert have something they want to promote on our way out, this is the time to do it.
I promote confidence in the new schedule that you've presented this evening. I look forward to it.
I'd like to ask everyone not to panic buy and only get what they need right now, because there's a lot of people out there that don't have anything.
Sorry, didn't mean to leave a long thing there. I was going in there, but no, it's a good thing. And yeah, since I'm going around acting like this is the advanced class, that is one of those things. There's absolutely nothing to be gained from being like, this is what you should have done. Like, this is what I did. So maybe it's just time to chill on all that. And like you say, not, or whatever our habits might be, buy a box of ammo every time you go to the store, buy a box of ammo every time you go to the gun shop or something, or gun show, then maybe cool our jets on that, or maybe think about cooling your jets on that, especially if you're setting on a bunch. Like you say, allow the greater scheme the greater fluctuations to flatten out. Let's lessen the curve, right? By no 9mm. What if we just have no 9mm in November and we lessen the curve? We flatten the curve. That's what I should be saying. So with all that,
I can agree to that.
I feel like the show's deteriorating. I was on loose sand before, and now it's falling through. So we're wrapping it up. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll be back tomorrow.